everyone. I'm Trainer Mike, and you're here watching the TXA Weekly Market Roundup. I apologize. I wasn't actually on YouTube last week, and that was due to me being busy with summer school teaching. I'm a teacher by day, but I am back again, and I have here on the chart a vertical line showing the last time we checked in with Bitcoin 2 weeks ago. So we'll start from there and kind of work out what's been happening the last couple of weeks and take a look where we might be headed next. And if this is your first time watching our wrap up here, be sure to check out the link in the descriptions below to our Discord server. That's where you want to go if you want to join the conversation about what's going on in the crypto markets, what might be coming next, and what to watch out for. We've got a whole lot of different channels within that Discord server, so make sure you pop in there. That's entirely free to join and to get involved in the conversation. And we also have a private members area in there as well. So let's just dive right in. Here is Bitcoin. 2 weeks ago, we were stuck in this sideways range. We popped out the top of it. And then the question became, can we start a new rally, or is this simply going to fake out and reject? And you can see we faked out. We kind of got stuck on this 50-day moving average here. We rejected, and we went back into the sideways range. Now we slipped out, popped back up. There was a lot of FUD going on last week on Monday. So it got pretty heavy pretty quick. A lot of people panicked, a lot of selling going on. That's a pretty hefty candle there. You've got about 6% straight down, but then a recovery the next day with a bullish engulfing candle here, which was very interesting. And then rejection again, only to spend yesterday kind of taking some heat. And now here we are right on this potential new uptrend channel bottom trend line. And we've tapped it once, we've tapped it twice. Now we're sitting on it for the third time. And 2 weeks ago, we talked about coming into this sideways range and coming out of it and looking for this 24K area on Bitcoin. That area is still in play. It's still entirely possible in the next couple of weeks ahead that we break sideways or even down off of this trend line, and we find ourselves in this area. It's not uncommon to slip outside of channel lines and bounce back into them. It happens all over the charts. So it wouldn't be that big of a deal for us to slip down, find some support, and work our way back up and start building from there. What we are at risk of, though, is losing significant ground. Significant FUD could come in. We've been having a lot of regulatory talks, especially out of the US SEC. There are specific cryptos now that have been deemed securities by the US SEC, a lot of them on Coinbase. So Coinbase is in hot water. Coinbase and Binance both have received regulatory actions by the SEC in the last week. So there's been a lot of negative talk. All that being said, this is relatively quiet from Bitcoin, considering the negative FUD going around right now. So it remains to be seen whether we're going to hold this point and start to build an uptrend channel, or whether we are going to break to the downside. We're kind of at a decision point. It's a very important area. But one of the things that happened involved ETH, and ETH took some heat in the past week. I'm not going to go into detail about the FUD surrounding ETH, but suffice it to say, there is a lot of problems going around the fact that the largest staking pool that holds about 75% of ETH is a DAO, and DAOs have been ruled by the US CFTC that they are considered people, and therefore they can be sued. And that means if you sue a DAO, you sue everybody who holds some kind of stake in that DAO, and that could spell serious trouble on the horizon for ETH. And that just came out 2 days ago, and you can see that 6% or so dip on ETH. So here's where Bitcoin and ETH both did that dip of about 6% on that Monday. And now ETH has done its own afterwards, which of course should mean ETH Bitcoin now is losing a bit of strength. But this was kind of what we wanted to see a couple of weeks ago. We wanted to see this dip in ETH to get down to 618. They kind of pulled up to this 236 and then spent the last couple of weeks rejecting. We have now tapped the 50 fib here on this retracement. We are looking for ETH to come all the way down to 1620s or even the 1500s. Somewhere in that area would be a nice spot to find some support for ETH here. But Bitcoin may be ending up following down with ETH, could get into these areas during the time that ETH dips here. And that would give us some sideways movement on ETH Bitcoin. But with that dip just 2 days ago in ETH Bitcoin, you can see this rejection off the 382 here. And in the terms of the pattern that we were looking at, we had this triangle. We were looking for a breakdown, and instead they did the opposite. They broke up, but they stuck at the 382 and rejected strongly in the last 2 days. Now we're kind of back in where the point of this triangle would form. And if this starts to reject, this could turn out to be a fake breakout that turns into a more severe rejection. And if the 618 does not hold, then you've got the 786 all the way down below for ETH Bitcoin. And that would be ETH losing about 15% strength relative to Bitcoin, which could mean ETH dipping much further. You would need ETH to dip 15% while Bitcoin holds still. So ETH would have to come all the way down here to 1470 while Bitcoin held sideways for that to fill in on the ETH Bitcoin chart. So quite a bit of a lot of work to do there for that really to play out. But let's look at the DXY. So we talked about the DXY having this potential double bottom. We talked about the DXY needing to break this resistance point if it was going to go all crazy and really shove Bitcoin to the downside. And that hasn't happened yet. In the last couple of weeks, we've rejected this 382 and kind of just went sideways. So you can see the DXY here really kind of in a pattern of uncertainty, just kind of sideways up and down in this area where we've seen that type of movement in the past before. And in the grand scheme of things, we are sitting right smack in the middle of a very large, very long-term channel here on the DXY. So it could go either way, and we can expect somewhat of an inverse movement to occur relative to Bitcoin in terms of this DXY. So if the DXY starts to break to the downside, that could give Bitcoin a bit of relief and a chance to bounce off of its potential channel line. But if the DXY starts to turn back up and manages to break upwards to check in with this 236 here before heading lower in the big picture, that could be the fuel we need to push Bitcoin down into these lower support areas. So still a lot of uncertainty ahead for us in terms of where we're going next. It's really just not super clear at this time. And here you have the SPX has been breaking to the upside. There was a bit of a flag pattern here, looking for it to finish all the way, but stuck at this point where it had rejected in the past after that all-time high. So really at an important area here in terms of the S&P. And if what comes true, a lot of people are talking about an official recession in the US. There's kind of been a soft or behind the scenes recession going on for quite some time, but an officially categorized recession, if that were to take place, certainly would expect to see the S&P reject and some of these other indices as well as stocks reject. You got the DJI here, potential wedge right on that line could spell reversal soon. So short term, you could see stocks coming down, which could be an indication that the DXY may turn back up and also force Bitcoin lower and ETH lower as well. So for me personally, I'm leaning towards this not holding up in terms of a support to build a run. I think we've kind of exhausted a bit of excitement here, and now we need to turn back down and clean some of it up before we can go higher. And so there may be some more negative FUD coming. This is a bit steep for a potential line there. It may turn out to be something a little bit more sustainable like this, and potentially that this may have just been a slip underneath. So it's entirely possible this turns into a lower trend line and we find some support at 23.24. I'm going to leave that and see how this plays out. It's really hard in real time to kind of predict. We don't really make predictions, but to kind of anticipate where we might stall out and find a reversal point before it happens. It's easy looking back in the past and going, yep, that's where we bounced. But there's a lot of people who maybe were drawing some steeper lines here and looking for that to hold and then getting trapped up higher along this development of this move. It's really, really tricky. And so drawing these potential trend lines, it's almost futile until you get those three touches and you can really solidly see this is where that channel's building. So I have a bit of a hunch this is where we may finally find some support come in. This is an area we've been looking at cleaning up for a while, and that may be in the next week or two kind of where Bitcoin heads. Some of the alts will take significant heat. Alts like ADA that just got claimed to be a security by the SEC are taking significant heat. So be very careful out there, because you're going to see this happening probably more and more on some of these coins. This doesn't have a lot of history. Let me find the older history of ADA here. So this is a very old, going back to 2020 chart. There should be an older one here on Bitstamp. There we go. Nope. I know I've got an older chart here I can look at that can really put this into better perspective. It might have been on Kraken first. There we go. So here is the old chart we had on ADA that goes all the way back to 2017. I personally picked some ADA up at about 2 cents and sold at about 16 on a bit of the run up. I did not hold it all the way until $2 or $3. And so that was a bit of a learning experience for me personally. Still made profit, happy about it. Could have made quite a bit more, but maybe another opportunity for this one coming ahead. The 786 is all the way down at 5 cents. And so ADA may have another 77% to go if it comes all the way down to that 786. And that would be an amazing spot to pick it up long-term for a future bull run. So alts like this, you really have to watch out. They've broken their trend lines. They have a lot of negative news coming out, and this may be happening to more coins in the future. You've got coins like Dash have been claimed as security now by the SEC. You've got Sol that's getting hit. ADA's getting hit. There's more information about that in our Discord server. So I'm going to pause there without going in too deep. I encourage all of you, please, again, check out the links at the bottom in the description of this video. Join us in Discord, join the conversation, and find out more from TI, who is in there as well. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I will see you next time on the Crypto Market Wrap Up here at TXA. Thanks, everyone.